Hello all, welcome back to Anitronics. This video is all about backpropagation. So first let us see what exactly is this backpropagation and then let us understand the math behind it. So do subscribe and hit the bell icon to be updated with my new videos. Now let's get into the video. Propagation and math behind it. First, let us see what is this backpropagation algorithm. It is a supervised learning method which is widely used in training feed-forward neural networks. So here, we can see a girl's image which is given as an output to this neural network. Then this neural network processes it and gives as an output. But what happens with this neural network in the feed-forward propagation is it takes the input, it will do a bit of processing and gives an output as it is a cat, instead of a girl wearing glasses, which is actually an incorrect output. So to get the correct output, we need to backpropagate it and update all of these weights over here. So let me repeat again. What we do is we give the input, we feed forward it, and the given output, which is an incorrect output, cat. So now we backpropagate it and update all of these weights, and when we give the optimal set of these weights, then we get the actual result which tells us that the input is a girl who is wearing glasses. Now let us see another example. So over here we have inputs as 0, 1 and 2, and let our desired outputs be 0, 2 and 4. Now let our initial value of weight be 3. So if you give the value of weight to be 3, the output which we get is 0 for the first input, 3 for the second input and 6 for the third input. But this is not our desired output. So now let's actually find out the error in prediction. So for the first input, the error is 0 as the both outputs are same. For the second input, the desired output is 2 and the output given by the model is 3. So the absolute error is 1. And again for the third input, the desired output is 4 and the output given by the model is 6, and this time the absolute error is 2. So now instead of taking the absolute error, we need to actually work with the square error. So we square this out. Square of 0 is 0, square of 1 is 1, and square of 2 comes out to be 4. Next, instead of 3, we will update the weight to 4, that is W is equals to 4. Now the outputs came to be 0 for the first input 0 and 4 for the second input 1 and 8 for the third input 2. So when we square this out, we get 0, 16 and 64, which is very large. So now what shall we do is, instead of increasing the weight, we will actually decrease the weight. From 4, we will bring it down to 2. Now when we bring down to 2, these are the final outputs, that is input for the input 0 the output is 0, and for the input 1 the output is 1, and for the input 2 the output is 0. So the squared error comes out to be 0, 1 and 0, which is small when compared to weight 4. So we can say that as we increase the weight, the error also increased, and as we decrease the weight, the error also decreased. So this is how the backpropagation algorithm works. Now let us go through this graph to understand the backpropagation in a better way. So we have this graph over here, and our aim is to minimize the error by either increasing the weight or decreasing the weight. So if you take on this side of the graph, the tangent that is passing over here makes a positive slope with this axis. Since it makes a positive slope with this axis here, if we decrease the weight, the error would decrease, and if we increase the weight, the error would also increase. And now if you take on this side of the graph, the tangent here makes the negative slope. As the tangent makes the negative slope, it means inversely proportional. So if you increase the weight, the error decreases, and if you decrease the weight, the error increases. So basically the task of the backpropagation is to reach this global loss minimum, and to reach the global loss minimum, the backpropagation algorithm will actually increase the weight or decrease the weight. And if it is on the right side over here, then it has to decrease the weight as it is directly proportional, and if it is on the left side over here, it has to increase the weight as it is inversely proportional. So this is how the backpropagation algorithm works. Up to now, we saw the theory behind the backpropagation, and now let us understand the math behind it. Here is the neural network where we have the inputs as 0.05 and 0.10 and the outputs 0.01 and 0.99. To obtain this result, there are two steps involved in this backpropagation. One is forward pass and the other one is backward pass. In forward pass, we'll go from the input layer to the output layer, and in the backward pass, we'll go from the output layer to the input layer and update all of these randomly initialized weights. Now, let us see the math for it. So, in forward pass, what you need to do is, we'll go from the first layer to the second layer. So what we have to do is multiply all of the weights with their inputs. That is, we need to multiply these two inputs with their corresponding weights and finally add this bias to the total sum. So net H1 comes out to be W1 into I1 plus W2 into I2 plus B1 into 1. That is W1 into I1 plus W2 into I2 plus B1 into 1. So when you substitute the values of all this, the net H1 comes out to be 0.3775. But that is just a linear value. So now we need to pass it through the activation function. This activation function here is a sigmoid function. So it is out H1 is equals to 1 upon 1 plus e power minus net H1. So we got the net H1 value as we have calculated it just now. Substitute the net H1 value in this equation and the out H1 comes out to be 0.5932. Similarly, I have calculated it for H2. First a value will come and then after passing it through the sigmoid function, it came out to be 0.5968. Now we are done with finding the values for H1 and H2. So now let's go ahead and find the values for O1 and O2. This time what we'll do is multiply the corresponding weight with the values of H1 and H2. So net H1 comes out to be W5 into out H1 plus W6 into out H2 plus B2 into 1. Now when you substitute and solve, this gives us a linear value of 1.1059. So when this is passed through an activation function, which is basically a sigmoid function, then the value of output O1 comes out to be 0.7513. Next, we will do the same thing for O2. We will multiply the weights with the corresponding inputs and the resultant linear output is passed through the sigmoid activation function and get the result as 0.7729. So now we got the values for O1 and O2. Now what we need to do is we need to find the error in prediction. For that, let us first see the formula for finding the error. For that, we need to just subtract the output from the target output and then square it up. So here, this is the initial value, that is 0.01, and this is the value what we got, that is 0.7513, and after squaring it up we got the value as 0.2741 for the first output neuron. Similarly, we need to find out the error in prediction for O2 also. So the error in prediction for O2 comes out to be 0.023. Now to find out the total error, we need to add up the error for O1 and the error for O2. So for finding out the total error, we are summing up this error for O1 plus error for O2, which comes out to be 0.29. So now we are done with feed forwarding the input, predicted the result and also calculated the error in prediction. So this is where the step 2 starts. So step 2 is basically a backward propagation where we start from the output layer and keep heading back and keep on updating the weights. So this is the first step of the back propagation. Now we will see how can we update weight 5. As I have already stated, to update the weights we would have to find out the change in error with respect to the change in weight. So for this we have to take the partial differentiation of total error with respect to weight 5. So that it can be written as partial differentiation of total error with respect to output 1 into partial differentiation of output 1 with respect to net O1 into partial differentiation of net O1 with respect to weight 5. That is this entire process. If you remember, that is the order of what we have calculated. First we found out net O1, from that we found out output O1, and finally using that we found out total error. So now what we are doing is partial differentiation of E total with respect to out O1 into partial differentiation of out O1 with respect to net O1 into partial differentiation of net O1 with respect to W5. So when we do that, we get the final result. Here let us find out each term separately. So that we need is partial differentiation of E total with respect to out O1. So now E total is basically this value which we saw before, that is half into target O1 minus output O1 and whole square plus half into target O2 minus out O2 whole square. So now since we are differentiating it with respect to out O1, this entire term becomes constant and that value would be 0. So when we differentiate this part, that is the first term, we get it as minus of target O1 minus out O1, and hence by substituting the values of target O1 and output O1, we get the value of partial derivation of E total with respect to out O1 as 0.7413. And then when comes to the second term, that is partial differentiation of out O1 with respect to net O1, we know that the output O1 is a sigmoid function which is 1 upon 1 plus e power minus net O1. So that when we differentiate the sigmoid function, we get the same value multiplied with 1 minus the same value. So if you want the derivation of that, I have given the link below in the description box, just go through that. So now after differentiating out output O1 with respect to net O1, we get the value as out O1 into 1 minus out O1. When you substitute the values of out O1 in this and solve it, we get the value of partial differentiation of out O1 with respect to net O1 as 0.1868. So we got the value of second term also. Now let's go ahead and find the third term, which is differentiation of net O1 with respect to W5. So we have the value of net O1 as W5 into out H1 plus W6 into out H2 plus B2 into 1. And when you differentiate net O1 with respect to W5, these two terms becomes constant and hence the value is 0. Now when you differentiate W5 into out H1 with respect to W5, we get the value as out H1, which is 0.49. So we have the values of all these three terms now. Now what we have to do is for finding the partial differentiation of E total with respect to W5 is multiply all these terms together, as we have got the values before, multiply all these values together and we get the final value of the partial differentiation of E total with respect to W5 as 0.08216. So but this is a gradient. After getting the gradient, we have to pass this through the gradient descent formula. So the formula is new weight is equals to old weight, that is W5 minus N, which is the learning rate, into gradient, which we have just calculated. So this learning rate is an arbitrary value. You need to do trial and error for getting the optimal value for that. Here I have taken it as 0.5 and upon substituting the values, that is W5, that is the initial value, which is 0.4, and then the learning rate is 0.5 and then the gradient is 0.082, we get the value of, that is the new value for W5 as 0.35. Similarly, by applying the same procedure, we need to find out the values for W6, W7 and W8. So, the new W6 comes out to be 0.40 and the new W7 comes out to be 0.51 and the new W8 comes out to be 0.56. So by this we are done with the first pass of forward propagation. Now in the second pass we have to calculate W1, W2, W3 and W4. So if you observe in the first pass of gradient descent, we have calculated W5, W6, W7, W8, and now we have again we have to go through the another pass and update these four weights, that is W1, W2, W3 and W4. Now this time, if we have to update the weight W1, we would have to find out the change in total error with respect to the W1. That is, we have to calculate the partial differentiation of total error with respect to W1, and this can be represented as partial differentiation of E total with respect to out H1 into partial differentiation of out H1 with respect to net H1 into partial differentiation of net H1 with respect to W1. So now let us start with the first term over here. So this is partial differentiation of E total with respect to out H1. Now this E total can be written as the sum of error obtained for the output neuron 1 plus error obtained for the output neuron 2, and hence this term can be written as partial differentiation of EO1 with respect to out H1 plus partial differentiation of EO2 with respect to out H1. So this is what exactly we are going to do here. If you want to find out the partial derivative of E total with respect to W1, we can get it by doing the partial differentiation of E total with respect to out H1 and partial differentiation of out H1 with respect to net H1 and partial differentiation of net H1 with respect to W1. Now, when it comes to the first term, that is partial differentiation of E total with respect to out H1, as I already said, E total can be written as the sum of EO1 and EO2, and so this term can be broken as partial differentiation of EO1 with respect to out H1 and plus partial differentiation of EO2 with respect to out H1. Now let us go in depth and understand the math behind it. So this is we have already saw before. Now with respect to this equation, I will take the first term and it can be represented as, that is, summation of EO1 with respect to out H1 is equals to partial differentiation of EO1 with respect to net H1 plus partial net O1 plus partial differentiation of net O1 with respect to out H1. So when you cancel these two terms, we get the same what is here in the LHS. So when you take the first term of this equation, that is partial differentiation of EO1 with respect to net O1, it can be written as partial differentiation of EO1 with respect to out H1 into partial differentiation of out H1 with respect to net O1. Here also, when you cancel these two terms, you will get the same what you have in the LHS. But when you see these two values, you have already calculated these two values in the first backward pass. So what you do is simply substitute those values, and finally we got the value for summation of EO1 with respect to net O1 as 0.13. Here we got the value for the first term of this equation, that is this equation. Now let's go ahead and find the second term, that is we have the net O1 as W5 into out H1 plus W6 into out H2 plus B2 into 1. Now when you do the differentiation of net O1 with respect to out H1, these two terms becomes constant and turns to be 0, and when you differentiate this term with respect to out H1, we got the value as W5, which is 0.40. So now we have the values of both first and second terms. Now what you do is simply multiplying those two values together, we get the value of partial differentiation of EO1 with respect to out H1 as 0.0553. So, and we repeat the same process for E2, that is to calculate the partial differentiation of EO2 with respect to out H2, and we get the value as minus 0.019. Now what we have the values of these two terms. that is a partial differentiation of EO1 with respect to out H1 plus partial differentiation of EO2 with respect to out H1, which is the first term of partial differentiation of E total with respect to W1. So what you do is substitute these two values and find the value for summation of E total with respect to out H1 as 0.0363. Now what we have got is the first term in the partial differentiation of E total with respect to W1. Now we are left with more two terms. Now the second term is partial derivative of out H1 with respect to net H1, and we know that the value of out H1 is 1 upon 1 plus e power minus net H1, which upon this differentiating with respect to net H1 we get the same value into 1 minus the same value. So substitute the value of out H1 here and we get the value of partial differentiation of out H1 with respect to net H1 as 0.2413. So by now we got the first term and second term values. Next, when it comes to the third term, it is net H1, what we already calculated before, that is net H1 is equals to W1 into I1 plus W2 into I2 plus B1 into 1. Now when you differentiate this net H1 with respect to W1, these two terms becomes constant and turns to 0, and we will differentiate this with respect to W1, we get the value as I1, that is input 1, which is 0.05. By this we have all the three terms of this equation. Now when you put them all together and multiply, we get the value of summation of E total that is differentiation of E total with respect to W1 as 0.00043. So what we do is, next, that is the gradient value only. So you need to calculate the updated value. Now what you do is, the same formula, that is gradient descent formula, new value is equals to old value minus learning rate into the gradient. So new value is W1 star, that is old value is W1, and this is the learning rate, that is 0.5, and the gradient we have calculated just now, that is 0.00043. And when you solve this, you get the new value of W1 as 0.149. Similarly, find the values for W2, W3 and W4. So this is the entire back propagation algorithm with which we are able to update all of these weights starting from W1 to W8. Initially when we feed forward that is when we feed forward 8 with the initial values of 0.05 and 0.10, we got an error of 0.2983, and then when we applied back propagation and updated all weights, the error has come down to 0.2910. So even though if we see that the difference is not too much, but when we apply it for more 10,000 times, the error comes down to 0.00035. So at that time when we feed forward the actual inputs, we get 0.015 for first output and 0.98 for the second output, which are very close to the actual output. So if we observe, we need to back propagate until we get the minimum error and get the optimum values of weights and bias to get the actual output. So this is how the back propagation algorithm works.
So what we did is we first feed forwarded the input, and when the calculated output is not equals to the actual output, we then back propagate it and update all of the weights and bias until we get the optimal set of weights and bias. So if you have any doubts regarding this topic, please let me know through the comment section or mail me at anatronics.info@gmail.com. Thank you for watching this video.